It's the GAN 15, and the GAN 14, and the 13, and the 12, and the 11. And we're gonna do a deep dive to compare all 5 flagship cubes to answer 3 questions. 1, what makes each one of these unique? Which one is hands down the best? And 3, if you own any of these prior ones, is the 15 worth an upgrade? Let's find out. Of course, thank you to the Cubicle for making this video possible. All of these cubes are actually still being sold right now. Not sure how much longer that's gonna last, but let's order these by chronological order. Do they fit? Oh my gosh, they just fit. Wow. So these puzzles all came out in September because, you know, that's when iPhones come out. 15 was this year, of course, 2024, 23, 22, 21, and 2020. The 11 to me was the most groundbreaking one. I mean, this started the whole new naming system. There wasn't a GAN 10 before this. It was the 356X and the XS, as you might recall. And this started a brand new naming system with each successor getting pretty cool advancements. But to me, the 11 was the most groundbreaking one in terms of what it brought. Now, the first thing we have to talk about is, of course, the price. The 15 famously has the cheapest launch price out of all of these 5 puzzles. It debuts right now. You can buy it for, oh, hang on. Yes, $69.99, which, yes, is a lot of money. But the 14, for example, the top of the line 14 was $85 when it came out, which is crazy. I should say this is the 14 maglev Pro that I'm looking at because the original 14 wasn't used heaps. Not that the Pro was used a lot more, but this felt like a better comparison. So you can get this guy right now for, why am I getting all the prices for $65.99? Like I said, all still being sold, which is really interesting. The 13, you can get right now for $62. Yeah, nailed the orientation of that one. All still in the 60s. The 12 maglev, available for $58.99. I should say these are all the UV versions, so like the best versions of each of these cubes. There are slightly cheaper ones if you go like the matte finish on the cube. And finally, the 11 Pro, obviously cheapest of the lot, but cheapest by quite a lot. So right there, you've got your choice, right? All 5 cubes are still being used at varying levels by cubers all around the world. People will swear by all 5 of them, again, some more than others. But I mean, the price difference between the top and the bottom is quite significant. But from the 12 onwards, I mean, this is just an $11 difference. I mean, talk about upselling. And so you might think, well, there seems to be like 2 choices: save money and get the 11. Or, I mean, if you're gonna get this, might as well just go straight to the 15. And a spoiler, I guess, but it's a bit more complicated than that, as I will unpack for you in this video. All right, let's unbox these puzzles. Oh, the 11 Pro, you were a precious cube to me. This was my favorite cube for a very long time. My personal record, my one sub 10 single in competition was still obtained with the 11 Pro. Oh, look at that beautiful cube. This is, oh, yes, that's right. This is a matte version. I decided to include one matte version. You can tell it's matte because it's just not very shiny. The 11 actually is the only one out of the 5 here that came with the most variants. And so there was a matte version with light internals, but also one with darker black internals. There was a stickered version of this, believe it or not. And then there was a UV version and famously the soft version, which I have right here. This soft version has seen a bit of use, and I think they discontinued it because it discolored pretty bad. The soft coating would also sort of like peel off and stuff, but it was actually on the soft version that I got my sub 10. My daughter and I used the soft version for like quite a while. Good times. Now you're gonna see a bunch of these pouches throughout all 5. I don't think that they have changed, but we'll find out. We've got our nice sort of like plush velvet GAN cube pouch. That's a standard. We have got our cube instructions on how to solve it. Although, I mean, just YouTube Ting Man tutorial and you'll find a better one. And we've got our tools. And so a cute little screwdriver, and very famously for the first time, cubers had never seen this before coming with cubes when the 11 came out. Look at this. Extra little core magnets that you could use to adjust magnet strength in the middle of the cube. Oof, I am getting ahead of myself. We will look at that very shortly, but that's what you're gonna get with the 11. It was a highly reliable cube. World records were set on this cube. Also later, a bunch of variations would be made from the 11, but the 11 Pro was the one that started it off. So right off the bat, is this worth it in 2025? Oh wait, I'm time traveling. Is this worth it in 2024? To a certain extent, yeah, like especially on sale, because jumping all the way up from level 1 to 2, 58, my gosh, is the GAN 12 maglev. Was, to me, might be the most beautiful box out of the whole bunch. The cube case, exactly the same. And there we go. That's the UV that I'm talking about. So side by side, the matte on the left and the UV on the right, and you can just see how much more glossy the UV is. It's not done for the visuals. It's completely a texture grip thing so that this is much easier to hold on to. We're gonna see another pouch. Yes, woohoo. And I think that's exactly the same. Yup, they ain't changed nothing. But they did change this. Look at this. They included an AirPods case. I'm just kidding. It is our familiar little magnets that we can change. Why aren't you coming out? There we go. And we'll look into this shortly. And this year, instead of a screwdriver, an adjustment tool. This really freaky thing. And that's what comes with the 12. Next up, the 13, which really wanted you to know that they were all about magnets to the point that they made their entire unboxing experience magnetic. Look. It opens like that and like that. And I mean, magnets there as well. And like this. It's wild. Like, whoa. Okay, we get it. Your cube has a lot of magnets. But I mean, it's pretty cool. I like it. They changed the box so that now this guy is magnetic as well. Little magnets over there. And this is our cube, the 13. Wait, is that it? I thought, oh no, that's right. This is the one that fooled a lot of us because a sneaky little SIM card ejector was hidden over there. Okay, sorry, it's not meant to be a SIM card ejector, but I mean, you'll see what this is used for. This is what the screwdriver used to look like. Look at your evolution, my friend. And accessory-wise, the 13 comes with another cube pouch. We like it. And that's it. That's it. Nothing else. Pretty incredible. Same cube pouch. The pouches just keep pouching on. But I mean, the experience, right? That alone is the reason why you should buy the 13. It's just because of the box. I am kidding. 14 changed everything because for the first time, it had this little guy that you're meant to pull. Again, like I mentioned before, the GAN 14 maglev Pro, which came out with a better anti-pop mechanism, which to me was almost a bit of an admission that their original one popped a lot. Yeah, people had issues with the 14 when it came out, but it's the one that comes with a billion different settings. Out of all of these, they gave you the ability to adjust like every single thing ever. Oh, that's a new box as well, isn't it? Yes, it is. Satisfying. So you could change so many things with the 14. And then I believe they also gave us, yep, it's at the bottom. There it is. Nice. SIM card ejector tool is now there, as well as those different like magnet stalks that you can change. We like that. And does it come with a GAN cube pouch? Yes, it does. And with more stuff. That's right. Yes. The tool continues to evolve, and now we have a fire hydrant this way. Cute little fire hydrant. And because popping your cap open like this, I mean, that's for noobs, that's too easy. Let's make these caps now impossible to get off, like literally near impossible to get off because it's got grooves all the way down that like lock that cap in place. And so give you an extra tool, but you stick it right on top there, press it. That's it, and it pops straight out. So easy. Honestly, ridiculously satisfying to use, but no one asked for it. And then our cube pouch. Man, it looks like the documentation's just getting thicker and thicker every year. Yes, let's put you back. And finally, we get to this year, the GAN 15 maglev. That was a sick electric guitar solo, if you can tell. And oh, guys, in an ever-changing world, we can all take comfort from the fact that one thing remains constant. Did it change? What? Oh, I got a heart attack for a second. No, it did not. Yes, the GAN pouch, my friends, will never change. The box got quite a bit bigger with the 15. I mean, can you like fit the You can. Oh no, it's too long. The accessory pouch also got huge, and that's because not only did we get our fire hydrant weird thingy again, but look, we'll get into that. Our box has evolved again, as you can tell. Press that little GAN logo to open it, but this time, hello 15, this time all the secrets are hidden underneath there. Kinda cool. Also, you might notice 2 sets of adjustable magnets instead of 1. We'll get into that as well. So there you go. That's what you're gonna get when you buy each of these 5 cubes. All right, the first thing we need to compare, very importantly, is the weight, because they feel pretty different. GAN 11, number 1, you are gonna come in at 63 grams. Oof, such a heavy cube. I'm just kidding, 63 grams is pretty light, but don't worry, the 12 improved on it because with the 12, they made it 67? Yup, it actually got heavier. On paper, it's 66, but don't worry guys, the 13 made it lighter because with that guy, 72. Yup, on paper, 71 grams. And the 14, did you do any better? Yup, 71 as well. 13 and 14 were the exact same weight, pretty much. But don't worry, our savior is coming. The 15. Come on, my son. What are you going to give us? 59. Let's go. That's right. They finally did it. The 15 has one massive selling point. It's that it's light. That's literally its main thing. And in fact, for your convenience, look what I prepared. Okay, I didn't actually make this. It came from the GAN 15 website. But they only went all the way up to 12. I mean, you can't even tell, right? Because my Photoshop skills are so good. I made column 11. Column 5. And you can see, yep, it actually got heavier through the years, which sort of makes sense because they added like a bunch of extra things to it. And then with the 15, famously, they pulled a lot of those things out to make it ultra lightweight. Maglev Speed Cube. Yep. So I'm going to start by telling you possibly the most important thing about the cubes, which is just what they feel like to turn. I mean, that obviously is the best way to test these cubes out. 11M Pro, matte version, feels in one word, stable. It's also going to be the loudest of all of them because out of all of these guys, it's the only one that doesn't have maglev, which means that it's still rocking springs. Here it is. There she is. Can you just see it? The springs down there. And springs just give cubes a different feel, maybe a more old school feel. Although I don't like saying that because it's not like every single cube should have maglev. There's still plenty of cubes with springs. I mean, the Tingman cube, my official like personalized cube is springs as well. But I mean, it's very quiet. But it definitely does have that characteristic feel. If you've ever used a cube with springs before, this feels just like it. But it is stable. It's very reliable. As you can see, it's completing every turn very faithfully. Of all of them, it probably feels the most blocky. We haven't compared all of them yet, but I'm going to say it's probably going to be the one that will corner cut the worst. But I mean, there's something about it. It just feels really reliable. It turns like good cubes used to turn. The 12 is next. And the 12, according to a lot of people, is the one that feels the most like the 11, which I mean, I guess makes sense. But to me, instantly, I can tell that this is maglev that's going on under the hood. Let's just confirm that. There we go. Those are our two maglev rings, our opposing maglev rings. So that when I try and put one on top of the other, it just flies off. Despite it being maglev, the 12 for some reason is still kind of noisy. And compared to the 11, to me, warps a whole lot more when you're turning it. Now, that can be good for many reasons. Also, this is something that you can adjust because you can make it looser or tighter. But I mean, this is straight out of the box, which means that for most of these cubes, it's dialed into like the middle setting in terms of how loose or how tight it could be. And yeah, as you can see, it just warps a lot more. But that means you're going to be able to do corner cutting much. Wow, it's also not letting me like misalign the layers. Look at that, that's insane. So that to me is the action of its core magnets, but also the fact that the maglev has reduced so much friction. So the springs, you know, if I like slightly push this one, it sort of stays like that. Even though it does click back to be aligned, you know, 90 degrees. But starting from the 12, yeah, look at that. It's just going to want to complete turns. So yeah, the 12 is this really nice bridge between like the old guard and the new guard. To me, it is very much part of like the newer cubes. Like, sorry, 11, but it is even in pricing, right? Very much like old versus new. But the 12 is going to bridge that really, really nicely. And I mean, fun fact, 12 was released in 2021, right? So many cubes have been released since then. And yet, Yiheng Wang, for example, world record holder, he's going to continue breaking world records. He still uses the 12. And I think that says a lot. 13. The 13 updated their tensioning system. It's the one, remember, from the box that's all about the magnets. And I don't know, like, look at what's going on here, man. To its credit, it's a lot quieter than the 12. When I'm solving it, my main feeling is like confusion. Because on paper, it should be a really great cube. It's got like everything going for it, right? But the actual solving experience, I don't know, it's weird. Like it locks up, it's catchy, it distorts when I don't want it to. Yeah, 13 wasn't a good number for GAN, based on pure feel alone. The 14 continued in the same vein, but decided to improve on how much customization you could do. We'll look at that shortly. In terms of feel, and remember this is the Pro, so they tried to improve the anti-pop mechanisms. This guy feels a little bit like a 12.5, so it's almost like they tried to like backpedal a little bit and not make it feel as much like the 13 did. So when I'm solving on the 14, it does feel a little bit more stable, but it's giving me those, I don't know, that same confusion again of like, why does it feel like this if it's got so much under the hood that's meant to be so good? Let's check the auto aligning. Yep, not too bad. Look at that. I like how it, like, if it goes over like this, it then corrects back. Like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's something that GAN has always striven. What is English? So in terms of feeling, it's agile. It's very forgiving when it comes to corner cutting. It feels like a beast, but somehow not blocky. Like, it's kind of forgiving if you have a really rough turning style. It feels like a cube. The 13 and 14 feels like ones that can just take hits. Like, if you're really rough and imprecise with them, it feels like these are the cubes that can handle it. And then there was the 15. The 15 doesn't feel like the 14 or the 13. It feels, wow, it feels like air. The weight does throw you off a little bit just compared to these guys. It is just so much lighter, right? It actually does feel a little bit like the 12 in terms of its propensity to auto align. It's actually hard to test corner cutting because it doesn't even want to like be out of alignment in the first place. Compared to the 11, man, it's just come a long way. The difference with that auto aligning thing is that with the 11, I feel like I just knew how much it was going to turn with how much effort I put in. So like if this happened, I knew it was my fault because I didn't put enough effort in. But with the, 12 onwards all the way to the 15, on one hand, it's really, really nice for the cube to like correct for you. On the other hand, I don't know if it breeds like bad habits because all of a sudden now I can not give the amount of effort that a 90-degree turn normally needs, and it will still finish it for me, and it just sort of encourages me maybe to be a little bit sloppy in the way that I turn. Yeah, I mean, look at that. So people have said online that it feels a lot like the 12, and I'm inclined to agree only on a few bases. I feel less confused than I do with these guys when I'm solving. The 13 and 14 were very much like, what's going on? Like, why is it just so unpredictable? Whereas the 12 and 15 are a lot more predictable. And so to answer the question that one of my Patreons asked, does the 15 feel better than the 12? I'm going to say, yeah, it actually does. It's not a 12.5 the way that the 14 was. To me, it's almost as if GAN realized it was going 11, 12, 13, and then 14 was, I don't know, a bit of a course correction or something to bring it closer to 12. And then they realized, you know what? Let's not keep going this way. Let's branch off this way and see what happens if we go through this alternate timeline that the TVA can't stop. Yeah, sorry, that was very nerdy. So yeah, a definite improvement from the 12, but it's a real departure from these two cubes. I realized though, I haven't even done any solves with these guys yet. So, I mean, I might be completely proven wrong when I do that, but there's something we should have done by now. And that is to look at what's happening with these cubes under the hood. Well, 14's pieces are legitimately a lot harder to take out. I mean, that's exactly what they're trying to do. And yeah, it's actually a lot harder to take the pieces out, which, yeah, I guess is good. All right, here we go. Starting with the 11, the very first GAN cube to now have a core with magnets on it. This was pretty revolutionary when it happened. It meant that these corner pieces, when they were moving around, see, there were already magnets between pieces. That had been the case for several years. You can see a bit of an outline on it there, the little circle. So that will allow for things like this, for these two pieces to just hold together in place. But now that there was a magnet there as well, it means that when the layer is moving around, there are now, I mean, check that out. All those magnets, they just like click into place internally as well. Just provides that nice familiar like thud whenever it goes. Look at that. It's so cool. Core stability. So that's what the GAN 11 introduced and got retained throughout the rest because, I mean, it was a good improvement. The 12, however, changed the length of that. And so now we're going to see these corner magnet stalks that are longer, and longer means that it takes less travel before those magnets arrive at the next one, if that makes sense. Because those are a bit farther out, they need to travel a little bit farther to reach the next one, but those are deeper into the core, and so it's a shorter distance. And so in theory, whoa. See what I mean? 12 onwards they're just more poppy. There you go. That piece at the end is just not loving life right now. Also, 11 and the 12, you will see that those magnets that were between pieces, so between corners and edges, could also be adjusted. Their strength, you could use a tool like this, I think you're supposed to adjust their strength, but if your fingernails were long enough, you can do it using them as well. So going left and right, cause the magnet to be weaker or stronger. And by default, they were all set to the middle, but I mean, that was kind of cool. because sometimes that magnet strength was just too much. And then these beautiful accessories that we saw before allow you to swap the magnets and these corners as well, so that you could even customize those. So you could get these outer magnets how you want them to, but then say the core attraction was just too strong. Well, guess what? Let's just take that out and replace it. So this is a triangle one, and we are going to replace it with a circular, wait, no, that's not circular, a hexagonal one. This takes a little bit of effort, of course, that you need to change it for all 12. Wait, no, not 12, all 8. But it's part of the initial setting up process. And, you know, cubers found it kind of fun, in the early days at least. Is it stronger or weaker? I'm gonna say this, I mean, this just feels stronger. Oh, maybe not. Honestly, a little bit hard to tell with just a single piece. I probably have to change all 4 before I can tell. Or I can cheat and look at the manual. Okay, that's not actually cheating. And it says, oh my gosh, it doesn't even tell me. What? How can it not tell me? Okay, let's tug of war between the hexagon on the right and the triangle on the left. Oh, is that true? Does it mean it's actually stronger? Wait, let's swap it around. Yo, it goes with the hexagon. I'm gonna get roasted in the comments if that's not right. But yeah, I'm gonna call it and say the hexagon's stronger. So it by default comes with the weaker ones. And then we're going to have the same option with the 12. We're going to have hexagons again with a much longer magnet stalk. But with the 13, they strangely, very strangely, took away the ability to change these little magnet stalks, which is fine, not a huge biggie, but they added something on the edges. Look at that. The edges now have their own magnet. You might be wondering, what is that being attracted to? Because this little core only has magnets that point towards the corners, not the edges. Well, the magnets attract the corners, right? And they repel the edges. So the edge is happy there, but if I try and put the edge like that, there's a bit of resistance and it pushes it away. Okay, it's not working too well right now because there isn't enough tension that's sort of like holding that back. Yeah, like I said, in theory, it's an awesome idea. I really like it. But for some reason, it just didn't have that same impact as you would imagine that it should. But hey, new tech, more magnets. That's why the 13 was just like, we've added more magnets than ever, like literally. I think there's like 88 magnets, which makes Uncle Tingman very happy, but 88 magnets in a single Rubik's Cube is insane. The 14 continue in that tradition. We're gonna see edge magnets as well, except now they're a lot smaller. They very curiously made these corner magnet stalks short again. So if you look on the inside, the distance between the very center and those magnets is now suddenly farther than it was in this one, which feels like a step backwards to me. But you might have noticed, look at those little guys. We now have the ability to adjust edge magnet strength as well as corner magnet strength. So that was something that improved from the 11 and the 12, where there was only 3 settings. With the 13 and 14, if you love your customization, you're gonna get it with these guys. Look, with the 13 and 14, we now have the ability to adjust 6 magnets of level strength in the 13 and 12 levels of corner piece strength, and then 3 levels of edge piece magnetics. That's wild. So with the 14, I can just adjust this guy. What number is that? That says 3. Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's kind of cool. So as I turn this dial, you can see this guy moving up and down. Watch. See? As I turn it, it gradually just gets lower and lower until it eventually pops back up again. So I can now dial in how strong I want this corner core attraction to be without having to swap that. But if I'm not wrong, those 6 settings weren't enough. Yep, that's right. They still provided the hex ones. So you can still swap it with the hex so that you can get like 6 levels with the triangles and then another 6 with the hex so that you've got a total of 12. Oh, it's wild. The 13 provides that as well, except only with 1 set of these core magnets. So there's only 6. Only 6. That's so many. And since that corner adjustment replaced this adjustment, which previously was, magnet strength between piece to piece, now the 14 brings that back by allowing you to adjust the strength over there, where it used to be actually ages ago. I think I've got a GAN XS around somewhere. There we go. The GAN XS. See, you used to be able to adjust the magnet strength right there, just like that. And now they brought it back to the edges where it should be. I don't know, it's wild, man. If you like customizing stuff, 14 by far is your cube. And then there was the 15. What do you notice? Everything's gone, literally. No adjustment thingy there. No adjustment thingy there. They just completely got rid of it. That's not to say that you can't adjust anything at all, because you can actually still swap these out, I believe. Yes, you can, because it comes with these. So there are still 3 levels that you can adjust it between. Blue is weaker and green's going to be stronger. So, I mean, there is something, but I mean, what a departure from like how it used to be, right? It's crazy. So if you like messing around with your cube, the 15's not going to let you do that. And yet, it still feels pretty great. The factory settings aren't actually too bad. They are maybe a little bit loose, but that's something that we can fix once we have a look at the... Oh, that's right. I can't open it. See, you can't open it because of these little teeth there that sort of like lock it in place, that you need to like push all 4 back at the same time. If only there was a tool that did that for me. Guess what? You're in luck. Check this out. Amazing. Genius. I mean, look how it's changed from the 11 to the 15. That's what I was telling you about. Changes under the hood. Big changes. No maglev with the 11. A spring compression system that's honestly a little bit archaic. And that you also need some like weird tool to adjust, which you did using this very strange tool. Because the tool also like has all the like these different nuts that you can swap it around with. So putting the tool in there with the 11, you can adjust, I believe, 6 levels of elasticity. Yep, that's your 6 there. Just taking that out. And there it is. There's a spring right there. Yeah, life was so much simpler then. And then on that guy, you can adjust the travel distance. And then came the maglev, which warranted a completely new tool. Check this guy out. So spiky side is going to adjust tension by adjusting the wheel that's behind that wheel. See those grooves in the background? And then the round side is going to adjust the travel distance. The 13 brought version 2 of the magnetic GES, which is GAN's elasticity system. And this version pretty much is the same one that you see in the 14 and the 15 with minor adjustments. We now use the fire hydrant to make our adjustments. So on this side, you can see those 3 little teeth there. You're going to adjust center travel by just placing it very carefully there. Man, you've got to be so delicate with it. And then the other side of the fire hydrant with those teeth are going to reach all the way back down to the bottom to adjust tensioning. And you basically go just by feel. And it's the exact same thing with the 15, except now with those little grooves there, you can actually just adjust them with your fingers, which is far more convenient. But you still need Mr. Fire Hydrant to reach deep down to do the ones below. So I don't know, a bit random. But they're making little improvements along the way. Not really a big differentiation point, personally, between the 12 and the 15. All kind of similar. The 11, obviously, completely different with springs. But these guys are all going to be quite comparable. The 12 maybe is the odd one out. It was the first time GAN did maglev, right? So this was like its V1. And then it's sort of, I think, got it right from like the 13 onwards. Okay, let's put all the pieces back. I told you at the start that I was going to answer 3 questions. The first question was what makes each of these 5 cubes unique? In a nutshell, the 11 was the first one with core magnets. The 12 was the first one with maglev. The 13 was the first one with edge magnets. The 14 was the one that went overboard with customization. And the 15 erased a lot of stuff that the 14 and the 13 did in favor of weight. And that brings us to our second question. Which one's the best? Oh, that's a tough one. If you ask me, even just last year, it wasn't easy. I mean, I still really like the 11. It is also the cheapest, and so like best includes value for money as well, right? But at the same time, I mean, like the improvements between the 11 and these guys, if you want something that's a lot more modern, I mean, this came out in 2021, like not super modern. It makes a lot of sense to go with the 12. The fact that a lot of even the top pros did not switch to the 13 or 14, to me pretty much seals its fate. And it's really a choice between the 12 and the 15. Oh, this one's hard. We need to bring out the prices again, because I mean, it's a big factor. We come basically to a comparison between these two. The 12 costs today $58.99, or for another $11, the GAN 15 with all its improvements. Oh, I just remembered, I didn't even talk about like these weird center caps that came with this guy. Basically, if you install them in your cube, which I did with my extra GAN 15 I have, I mean, because I'm a reviewer, people send me stuff. They provide an extra tiny little ledge that you can see right there, that basically adds stability to the pieces as they're moving around. Although they say it comes at the expense of speed, but I'm gonna say it comes at the expense of corner cutting. It just doesn't corner cut as well. But otherwise, it's the same in terms of like auto alignment and the general feel and weight is there's no difference at all. But it's complicated because this apparently only comes up with the first batch, and I honestly don't think it's an improvement. So if you buy the GAN 15 and it doesn't include this, there's no loss, my friend, no loss. What's number one in terms of value? I think if I force myself to answer the third question, it might answer the second as well. So the third question is, if you already own any of these guys, should you upgrade? For starters, honestly, if you're really, really happy with the current cube that you have and you're not made of money, then no, you do not need to upgrade every single year. You do not need the latest cube, particularly if you already have the Tingman cube. I mean, you can't really get any better than this. But I'm gonna say, if you have the 11 and you actually don't have any of the others, it really makes sense to me to just like see what the fuss is about. Sure, get the GAN 15. If you have the 13 and the 14, I mean, you paid so much for these guys. I would say if you're very happy with it, again, nope, you're fine. There's no reason to upgrade. But if you were disappointed with your 13 and 14, I think you might be happy with where GAN's going with the 15. And finally, if you have the 12, do you upgrade? Oof. That really is the question. Dude, I haven't even done any solves yet. Maybe the solves would help. GAN 11M Pro. It's such a nice cube to solve on. After so many years, it still feels so familiar. I really like it. It's the 12. Such a fascinating feel. And an EPUM. Kind of nice EPUM to do. 13. This is actually good for like helping me consolidate my thoughts. Wow. Wow. Like, not bad, right? Like, you know, decent solve for me. Something about it that I just don't feel like I trust. The 14 definitely feels better. What? Yeah, it's actually not bad. And finally, the 15. The 15. What a light. It's just such a light cube. What can I say? All right, that did help, actually. I'm going to call it. We're going to say that 11 is really in a league of its own. I still really, really like it. If that's all that you can afford, it's a fantastic cube. 13th is definitely in 4th place. 14 and the 12 are similar because the 14 is like a 12.5, right? But I think the 14th is only narrowly behind the 12 because I am actually going to give first place to the 15. Can't believe I'm saying it. Yeah, it removed a bunch of stuff, but it feels like a great cube. And I mean, you're gonna get a few dollars off this if you order it at thecubicle.com with discount code Tingman. And some of you might be wondering, will I start seeing you use it in competitions, Tingman? On one hand, well, no, because I am too much in love with my Tingman cube still. This is based on the Moyu V10 that like, I can't get over how good this cube feels. Like, it's still by far my favorite. But for OH, maybe. It does need a little bit more TLC before I can actually like confidently use it in comp. But I don't know, maybe the 15 will be the one that wins me back over time, for one-handed at least. We'll see. But I mean, I made another big GAN video, so I guess in some ways I still am a GAN boy at heart. You can take the boy out of the GAN, but you can't take the GAN out of the boy. That doesn't make any sense.